For a transcript of this episode, training plans, and more, visit marathonsfortherestofus.com. Hey, Coach Carl here with another Marathons for the Rest of Us video. This week, I'm going to be talking about the 3 different types of long runs that you need to include in your marathon training plan. And I think this is a really important topic to discuss because I think there's a lot of confusion out there about how best to incorporate the long run and get the most benefit out of it. I think the first issue is that most people don't understand that you need to have different types of long runs. And so long runs all become basically the same thing. They're all done at the same pace. They all get gradually longer and longer and longer as you get closer to the race. And that may work out fine as far as preparing you for the distance itself and building the endurance that you need, but it's definitely not going to prepare you to run your best. So why do we need different types of long runs in a marathon training plan? Well, your body responds to a specific stress and a specific stimulus that it has been given. So assuming that we give it an appropriate stress, an appropriate stimulus, and we give it time to recover, then you improve and you get better and your fitness gets better. The problem is if all long runs are the same and if all long runs are gradually getting longer, you're not necessarily stressing your body in an appropriate way or in an effective way, and you're also not necessarily giving your body the recovery time that it needs to really see the benefits and the adaptations and the improvements. So with that as a quick background and a justification for why we need to do different types of long runs, let's look at the 3 types that I think are most important to include in your marathon training to be ready to run your best. The first is the endurance long run. And this is what you think of when you think of long runs. It's a long run at a pretty relaxed pace. This is obviously very important for running a good marathon because you have to build your endurance up to be able to hold race pace for 26.2 miles. So you're going to be doing a lot of these throughout the training, and it's a pretty classic example of a long run. You should definitely build up the distance gradually, and you should make sure that the pace is fairly relaxed. I like to recommend 60 to 90 seconds slower than your goal marathon pace, just depending on how you feel that day. That'll make sure that you're not working your body too hard as you build up the mileage in these endurance long runs. Now for these runs, I think you get bonus points if you can do them on a course that sort of mimics the course that you're going to be running on race day in terms of elevation, terrain, footing, those sorts of things. Now the endurance long run will make up the bulk of your long runs during your marathon training plan. So you can expect to do these maybe 2 or even 3 out of every 4 weeks during your marathon training cycle because they are very important for building the endurance necessary for the marathon. Now the second is pace practice runs. These are going to be really important for anybody that has a time goal. And what these are is you run X number of miles at an easy, relaxed pace, just like you would on a normal long run, and then you run a certain number of miles at your goal race pace. So for example, I like to use something like 10 miles easy, 6 miles at goal pace, 8 miles easy, 8 miles at goal pace, something like that. You will frequently see in some training plans 10 miles easy, 10 miles at goal pace. All of these are very challenging sessions, so it's important that you don't schedule too many of these during your marathon training cycle. I think doing one of these every 4 weeks is sufficient, and I think you want to be very careful to build up both the overall distance of the run as well as the goal pace portion of the run very gradually as you do these. I also think it's really important not to do one of these at a distance that you have not already run as part of an endurance long run. So for example, don't do a run that is 8 miles easy, 8 miles at goal pace if you have not already run at least one 16-mile run where the whole thing is at a relaxed pace. Now the third type is the recovery long run. And this may sound like an oxymoron, but I think it's a really important concept to understand. I don't think that you need to be challenging your body every single weekend of marathon training, either with a run that is very long or a run that ends at goal pace. I think it's really important every once in a while, let's say 1 week out of every 4, to have a week where you back off considerably and you give your body a chance to recover. I think it's important physically because you see the adaptations from the hard work that you've done. But I also think it's important mentally because now you get the opportunity to relax a little bit, to have a little fun, to go out the night before a long run or the night after a long run and not worry about it. And when you're talking about a 16-week training cycle, you're talking about a 20-week training cycle, I think it's really important to have weeks every once in a while where you don't have to stress about the weekend and you don't have to stress about the long run. You can also use these strategically if you have weekends where you know you're going to be traveling or you know you have other commitments where it's going to be hard to get a good long effort in. You can just schedule one of these recovery long runs in as well, and then you can stay on track with your training. You don't have the guilt about missing your long runs, and you can actually see more benefit from it. And this should be a pretty good step back from distances that you're used to doing in your other long runs. So let's say you built up to 16 or 18 miles for your endurance long runs. You want to step back to 10 or maybe 12 miles for these recovery long runs. They should be a significant break from what you're doing on other weekends. So I think using that mix of all three, the endurance long runs, the pace practice long runs, and the recovery long runs, is really important to make sure that you're both ready for the distance on race day, you're ready for the pace on race day, and you're also not burned out on race day. It's the best way to make sure that you're ready to run your best performance when it counts. So I hope that information is helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at carl@runningcoachcarl.com, and let me know if you have any suggestions for future videos as well. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.